In life, we encounter people every day, all of whom have stories to share. We rarely take the time to ask people their personal stories, many of which will touch, move, and inspire us in some way. Matt has a passion for making authentic connections and learning about people from all walks of life. He has lived a life of giving back to the community and making a difference in people's lives. Are you ready to meet fascinating people and hear some inspiring stories? The Matt Hilton Show will introduce you to a world of possibilities you never knew existed. Sit back, be present, and enjoy. Here's your host, Matt Hilton.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in today. This is Matt Hilton, the host of The Matt Hilton Show. Today's guest is an acquaintance of mine that I met over Thanksgiving dinner, and I asked her to come share her story with us because I feel that she is such a fascinating person. You do not want to miss this episode. Stay tuned for a word from our sponsor.
Inspired, experienced, customer-focused. Find a mortgage that fits your needs with Maria Leach at First United Bank Mortgage, specializing in construction and closing all types of loans, including jumbo, portfolio, conventional, FHA, and VA. A tenured team, outstanding service, competitive programs. Finance your dreams with Maria Leach at First United Bank Mortgage. mleach.firstunitedteam.com, 214-316-7915. mleach at firstunitedbank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Today's guest is an acquaintance of mine that we met over Thanksgiving dinner at a couple's house, and a conversation started, and I wanted to get to know Miss Prudence, TheAuset, a little more. So I asked her to be on my show today. We're in a new studio today. Wearing my purple glittery shoes today, and I love your outfit, by the way.
Thank you.
So Prudence, thank you so much for being here.
You are so welcome. Thank you for having me.
Most definitely, most definitely. So we started a conversation and got to know a little bit about each other over Thanksgiving, and
We did.
I mentioned the show, and I so thank you for making time to come in today. I know you had to rearrange some stuff, but thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for taking that adjustment and making it fit.
Most
I appreciate
definitely.
that.
Most definitely. My pleasure. So let's start with, I'm going to start with something easy.
Okay.
Give me 3 words that describe you.
Wow. Okay. 3 words that describe me. I would say I am resilient.
Okay.
That's one word to describe me. I'm a resilient person. I am a organized person.
Okay.
And I am an ambitious person.
Okay.
Resilient, organized, and ambitious.
Resilient, organized, and ambitious.
Yes.
Okay. So the resiliency, where does that come from? Does it come from somebody that was a mentor of yours growing up, or is it just something you learned through life?
I would say my resilience has come through life experiences.
Okay.
If I had to award my resilience to a particular person, I would definitely say it was my mother.
Your mom.
Watching her grow up, go through a lot, being able to come through those things was definitely something I remembered going through a lot of my processes and experiences. But life itself, if you have any goals, if you have any dreams, then you know resilience is required.
It definitely is. Most
Yes.
definitely.
Looks like you can relate to that.
I can. You saw the
Okay.
sparkle in my eye.
Yes.
So with that being said, you are a poet.
I am.
You're a filmmaker.
I am.
A writer, an actress. I
Yes.
mean, what do you not do? You have a nonprofit, right?
I do. Yes.
So where do you want to start? What do you want to tell us about? What are you most excited about right now at this point in your life?
Right now, I'm most excited about getting back into acting, getting back into film. I'm excited about that. I've had to take an extended period of time away from it to care for my mother. And I'm very excited. I just landed a film role, very small role, but I will be in a film. I'm on an NDA right now, so I can't even mention what it is.
Oh, I was about to say, tell us more. Tell us more.
Can't
Okay.
right now, but you'll be the first person I call when I
Fantastic.
can.
We'll have you back.
Great. And my nonprofit is always going to be my baby. I'm always going to be putting that front and center of a lot of things that I do, mainly because it's mentoring youth.
Okay.
And it's giving back to the community, mainly so, I should say, with elderly. They've taken a very special place in my heart right now.
Okay. So how long has your nonprofit been around?
My nonprofit started during the pandemic.
Okay.
I actually got it going on in 2020. And 2021, we had our first college trunk drive. And we were able to get 25 seniors at Roosevelt High School college trunks filled with essential dorm items. The community came together. That was without any grant funding, no big community outreach, anything like that. It was simply social media, reaching out. My village, as I call them, knew the task I had taken on. And from 2021 to now, they have been the rock to that particular distribution, the college trunk drive. We made that pretty successful.
And what is the name of your nonprofit?
TheAuset Foundation, Inc.
TheAuset Foundation, Inc.
Yes.
Okay.
You can find us online. We have a website. We have social media. I'm no longer on Twitter, but we do have Facebook, we have TikTok, and we have Instagram. Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic.
I'm still young enough to keep up with those.
So, yeah, I know what you mean there, because I've had to hire someone or bring somebody on my team, not hire somebody, but bring somebody on my team to handle all that. Right?
And I know why. I can understand why. I really, really can. It becomes a task in itself. It's a job within itself, especially if you want to reach a community of people. It's one thing to still have the audience, that you grew when you first started Facebook. I don't know about you, but I started in 2009. We're not the same in 2023 that we were in 2009.
No.
So you can't always depend on that. And I'm learning. I'm learning. You have to be able to really, really stay focused on that, because now you have what they call reels. You have things you have to post in a story. You need to do these things daily at a certain time of the day. And I'm like, okay, no. Let me step back a little bit. Right. Look into getting someone to take over mine, if you want to recommend, if they can take on another person.
Okay. All right.
But no, I get it. I totally get it. When you're a business professional and you have a lot going on, you understand you need social media presence, but you also grow to understand that that is a job within a job. You can't just go on there and make a post anymore.
Yeah. No, and speaking of reels, I need to get my reel in today, so maybe we'll have to do one at the end of the show.
Okay, cool.
I don't know what it's going to look like.
Now, you're going to have to tell me what it's going to be.
There we go.
I have no idea.
Speaking of your nonprofit, just to kind of let people know, they can find you on those social media channels, but is there anything coming up, like an event or any type of drive that our audience can help with?
Right now, we are still we're in the beginning phase, and it's really throughout the year. We take donations for the college trunk drive. Okay. We did a lot of donations in terms of clothes, shoes, and things of that sort. We partnered with another nonprofit organization during the holidays, and that was a phenomenal success. They were from coats to scarves to, like I said, shoes, clothes, food. It was just a really, really good success.
Fantastic. So that's what you're most excited about now, is this new adventure that you can't tell us about yet, and your nonprofit. So let's go back to where it all started. You grew up in Oak Cliff, I hear, right?
Yes, I did.
And how was your childhood? What was that like growing up in Oak Cliff?
My childhood is, I don't want to use the word typical, because my life is not everybody's life. But the audience may be able to relate when I say typical. I grew up in South Oak Cliff, in a complex called Cedar Glen. Cedar Glen is no longer standing. It's gone. So it's one of those situations where I can't even go and show my son where his mom used to live. But in that community, we had love. We had people who genuinely had a concern about our future and where we were going. And I was lucky to be in a household where my mother paid attention to her daughter. So my mom always saw the things about me that I needed to capitalize on, so to speak. Very vocal, very broad voice. So my mom instantly knew theater, and she's dramatic. She needs to do something with that. I love to dance. I was always wiggling around the house, so my mom would put me in dance classes. I was very well-rounded in my culture. So that's pretty much where it began. Now, the spark came from the South Dallas Cultural Center. That was where I was under the mentorship of Mr. Willie Minor. He was my acting coach. And my first production was for colored girls who have considered suicide when the rainbow is enough. I was the lady in red. So if you haven't heard of that movie, Tyler Perry did his rendition a few years ago, and I believe Janet Jackson was in that one.
Okay.
I still remember what I had on, and I was 14 years old. I didn't wear red. I remember that. But I'll never forget that. I'll never forget how open the South Dallas Cultural Center was to pouring into us the necessary things to help fulfill that, to help make it grow. They let us know about the realism of being a young Black girl trying to enter into the entertainment industry. And that was very important. That was very important. I wouldn't advise any parent, who knows that their child has a special gift to just let them go out and find it. Definitely get them in a place where they can have that centered and cultivated. And that's what happened for me. And I never forgot. I still can call Mr. Minor to this day. Yeah. I can still call him to this day. He's actually worked with me on one of my old projects. So that's another thing. The relationships that you build during that time are irreplaceable. I'll never forget that, and I'm very grateful. Miss Vicky Meeks, I remember her. She's no longer at the South Dallas Cultural Center, but she was very much a big part of that community. She ran it. And she did a beautiful job. If it were not for centers like the South Dallas Cultural Center or the Girls Club, things of that nature, I don't know what would have happened to me. I don't know where I'd be. I don't know.
Yeah. I think things happen for a reason, right? And there's you're surrounded. It sounded like your mom, like you. I'm going to use your word. She paid attention. She saw you, right, and helped you, right, along the way, right, and that's one of the things I believe in with a lot of what's going on today in our society is some parents don't pay attention. Right? And I think children feel that. Definitely. And that's where you see kids just have free reign and they go and they get into trouble. They do this, that, and the other. And it starts at home.
It starts at home. It really does. And I have to be very careful when I start to point a finger, because a lot of parents, to no fault of their own, because it's not intentional, are young parents, young kids that they have, and they're still trying to find their place. Becoming a parent didn't come with a book. And if it did come with a book, it still didn't tell you everything you were going to need to know. Right. I was one of those parents. I worked a full-time job. I went to school at night, and then things would happen, and I found myself working a full-time job, part-time job, and you can't make up that time. Things get missed. So I would definitely say, if you're in that position and you're still chasing a career and you have young children, my mom had that door open where she was a stay-at-home mom. So she didn't have to worry about that particular balance as a single mom. There are a lot of young mothers, even young fathers now. You have a lot of fathers who are single parents right now, who are just finding their way, you know, and it becomes almost like a partnership with you and your kid. You have to, just like you would want in a relationship, communicate with me, talk to me, just let me know. Give your child that opportunity to communicate with you, to talk to you. There's going to be several things that, if that's your busy life, your kid may come to you, may be like, this is probably the most silliest thing ever. You just need to get over it. This is life. Trust me. A couple of years from now, you're not going to think about it. It's important to them then, though. Think about whether it was elementary school, middle school, or high school, your first love. That first love. Yeah. Oh, you couldn't keep it inside and you had to tell somebody. And then think about when that first love hurt you. Mm-hmm. And you finally, if you hadn't, shared it with your parent or parents. Most of us, the first thing we hear is, oh, child, please. Mm-hmm. You know? And that doesn't make us feel good. So communicate. Yeah. Allow them to have that important moment to them that we know are going to pass to happen, and be there with them, because we miss things too. We're not going to be perfect, and the one thing we don't want is our child to misinterpret that absence as their reason to go out and misbehave.
Right.
My mom isn't here. She don't love me. She don't care. If she cared, she'd be here. You're not talking.
That's right.
They're not understanding why.
Yeah.
And you can't always make it be, well, I'm doing this for us. Your career is for you. Mm. That's not theirs. They didn't ask to be here, especially while you're still trying to figure out your career. You know, so don't do that. But I get it. I get it. And the reality is, I do come from a neighborhood where it's just rough. It was rough then, it's rough now. You know, resilience.
Yeah.
Have a goal. Make sure that that's not the end to your story. It doesn't have to be. And I knew that. My mother instilled that in me. Even if she didn't see her way out, she saw her kids getting out. And that was important.
Yeah. So what I would like for you to do at this point, if you want to, and that's what a lot of this show is about, is sharing your life experience to inspire others.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. So your camera is right over here.
Okay.
So if you want to speak to young African-American girls,
okay,
that may feel like that, how do I get out of where I am? What do I need to do? Like, what advice and inspiration can you give them?
I would tell any young African-American lady, young girl, woman, whatever, if that is your question, how do you get out? What do you do? The first thing you truly have to do is start with you. We don't like doing it. It's very cliche to say, but you got to get to the root first of your trauma. You got to get to the root of what is giving you dis-ease, because dis-ease creates disease. And that's very toxic to anything that you're trying to do when you say you want to get out. So start with yourself, and that may take you doing it with therapy. I'm one person who would tell you I did start therapy. Therapy helps me a lot. You know, it's not going to always be the same story for everybody, but therapy did help me through that process. So start with you and set realistic goals for yourself. Don't ask anybody what they think. Don't get caught up in, oh my God, how am I going to do it? If it's your goal, God already knows. Mm. And now you have to trust God to get you there. And you're going to have to put that into action. Faith without works is dead. You have to put it in action. Once you're comfortable in yourself, once you're secure with who you are, why you're here, what your purpose is, you move forward in faith. You don't start thinking about, well, I don't have the money. You're never going to have the money. But you're going to watch God move in ways you never saw it happening. And you have to believe that. You have to trust that. And once you start seeing those things, you have a whole different conversation. You have a whole different walk. Now you have different goals. That goal you had of $500 in the bank and a car is done. You got that within 2 months' time and didn't even see it coming because you had so much going on, but you started with the root. You started with what was breaking you down. And a lot of times what we don't know, because we're pointing out at everybody else, is it's us. Sometimes we have to let go of what we love so much because we don't want to lose that familiarity. I had to do that. I had to do that with someone I thought I loved for over 20-something years. But when I realized what I was truly holding on to, and when I noticed that when I needed that person, every reason I made up to keep that person in my life, when I got to a place in my life where I really needed them to show up and they didn't without any remorse, that was a very hard thing to swallow, but it also made it easier for me to let go. Don't be like me. Don't give it 20 years, to fester before you get it thrown in your face. You should have been let it go, So start with you. Start with you and allow God to work and start moving in their purpose. But it's not going to go anywhere. You're not going to be able to evolve until you start with you. And a lot of us don't believe we're the problem as young Black women. We don't believe we're the problem. We can point to the dad that wasn't there, the mom we feel didn't get, my mama loved me, but she didn't like me. I didn't have these kind of friends, or I wasn't wearing these kind of clothes. You. What have you done to change that? What if none of that has anything to do with nothing? We can't control who our parents are. We can't. And we can't let that be the reason, if that's what you're doing, we can't let that be the reason why we don't move forward. You can't do that. So it starts with you. That's what I would tell them. Start with you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
I am shaking.
You spoke to me in that. I mean,
Oh, God.
my life was not about me. It was about pleasing others and what would other people think, and all of that until I got in about 42, 43 years old, right? So I heard you just then in speaking that that is a message for anybody. It starts with you. It's being true to yourself.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And not worrying about what other people think, right? Not trying to live up to somebody else's expectation of what they think that you should be doing or who you should be.
And those people can have the best intentions in the world. Grandma, mama, mima, they have the best intentions in the world. They've watched you since you came out the womb.
That's right.
But their life is in our life.
That's right.
And what's going to make me happy, it may not be the thing that makes you happy.
Yeah.
One thing that makes me like, ugh, with parents that I see sometimes is when they get overexcited about, oh, I've done this for, little Julie, and we've set her up, and she's going to go to this college, best college in the world, and we have the great doctor program, PhD, and blah, blah, blah. And the baby is sitting over there saying, all I want to do is paint. Fuel their dream.
Yeah.
You have no idea what being an artist and just having the support of that outlet, that creative outlet for them, how that inspires wanting to be a doctor. What I have learned in being a creative is the minute you try to suppress the things that we love, the things that we feel are our purpose, drummers tapping, painters painting, writers writing, dancers really get on your nerve because they'll wiggle at anything in a minute, but the minute you try to start suppressing that, think about what they've done in a lot of the school systems. Kids are misbehaving. They're unruly. We can't control them. What's going on? What are they doing? They don't have nowhere to put that energy.
That's right.
They don't have an outlet. And you want to, we need teachers, we need doctors, we need lawyers, we need scientists. Yes, we do. But you forget a lot of those doctors and scientists have a creative outlet. If you really sit down with some attorneys and some doctors and ask them what they love, they're not going to tell you it's being a doctor.
No.
They're just not. And that's not all of them. I'm not saying I know every doctor in the world. But most people in what we would call a solidified profession, when you ask them if they love what they do, some of them will say, yes, this is exactly what I wanted to do all my life. That's good. That's great, especially if you're a teacher. I'll say that, especially if you're a teacher. But some of them will say, I used to. I don't anymore.
Yeah.
Well, what do you want to do? They're going to tell you something creative. At this point, I want to travel the world and eat. I love cooking. Chefs.
But then there's fear that holds them back.
Fear that holds them back.
Fear that holds them back. And you know, it's interesting that you say that because my ex-wife is a teacher, educator, right?
Okay.
And one of the things that our school systems do,
Okay.
God bless them, right, is they encourage all of the kids, and I think overly encourage the children
Okay.
to go to college.
I believe
And
in higher
our
education.
son, I believe in it too. However, our son doesn't want to go to college. Our son wants to go to trade school
I like
and be
that.
an HVAC technician.
I like that.
Yeah.
But that was not what you all saw, was it?
Well, but I want my kids to be whoever they want to be.
Beautiful.
Right? So I've got a daughter over in Athens, Greece right now going to college because that's what she wanted to do.
Oh my God, what is
Now,
she
where
studying?
other people, psychiatry,
Okay.
she could have done that here,
Yeah, yeah.
but she had a dream of going over to find herself and to learn more of who she was. And I wanted to support that.
I love you.
There were some members of the family that they were afraid for her, right? You've never been overseas. You don't know the
can't get
language.
to
I
you.
can't, yeah. What if something happens? And I was of the opinion, I can hop on a plane if something like, I
Don't
can be
live in
there.
that
Don't live
fear.
in the fear,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And so I think there's a fear from some in the family of like, what is Harrison going to do? Like, is he going to be successful? Of course he is.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, HVAC technicians, electricians, plumbers. If we send
Do the
everyone to
research.
college, we're going to run out of the trades professions. And we see a shortage in those now. So I just want to encourage people as well, right? That
Yes.
when you see those things in your children, don't,
Yes.
what you said, don't suppress.
Yes.
Like, encourage them.
Yes.
And they will be successful. Because when you
Yes.
are passionate about what you do, like I am passionate about being a realtor. I love what I do.
I love it.
And with that, it doesn't feel like a job.
It's not supposed to.
It's
At least that's what I
it.
hear. When you're doing what you love, it's not a
Right.
job.
You love what you do, right?
do.
You're passionate about the things that you're involved in, and it doesn't feel like work.
No.
So that's where we should be.
Yes. I feel like I'm at a place where I can give back in all of my outlets, whether it's the nonprofit or me writing and being creative, because words are powerful. You speak life and death with words. And I remember that each time I start typing or I'm writing. But I love how your daughter, at such a young age, knew she needed to find something with herself that mommy and daddy couldn't give her. Yeah. And her willingness to get out of the nest and go to a whole different country. You need a passport to get to that baby.
Yep.
And she's doing it. And I can tell she's successful in your voice, in your eyes when you talk about her. My son went to Remington College for HVAC. So when you said that about your son, I was like, yes, you know, because those are people, some people look down on trades, but I learned when I was in school how important trade mechanics, HVAC, plumbers, things that we don't think about till an emergency, but you know in that emergency you want to be able to call somebody, and that's exactly what they do.
Who's a professional, not just a handyman, right?
Exactly. Those are things that I instilled in my son. Yeah. My son wasn't a college kid either. And it broke my heart, you know, because I saw that for him. And he's still a good, I don't want to keep calling him a kid. He's a grown man.
Right,
he's 26.
Right.
But when I realized that he was not going to be moved, I understood, listen, now we have to, this is a different phase of parenting I have to go into now. I'm a single parent, got a son. I'm not a man, okay? But I know I have to keep him on the right path, get him guided in the right direction. So when he entered that program, I was very proud of him. I would sit with him and we would Google average pay, you know, versus highest pay. And we would talk about how he could get into it from an entrepreneurship level, or, you know, once you pass the program, get certified in whatever HVAC get certified in, you know, get get in with a good reputable company, get you some leverage,
Do your time.
do your time,
Yep.
because we all have to do it.
Yep.
You know, I've been a script girl. I've had to bring coffee. So we all have to walk that road. But when you look back 3-4 years from now, you're going to be saying, that's what I did. Now look where I'm at. And you have to trust that. You have to trust that. So I'm very proud. I'm proud of your kids just as much as I am mine, because trade school is not failure. It's not. And honestly, if I could give my opinion,
Please.
if there are any parents in that situation, I encourage you, just think about it. You know, let talk to your kid. Well, you think about it, kind of sit with it. But talk to your kids about, okay, you're not ready for college right now. Let's talk about a trade school, because you're going to have to work now. You got to do something.
You're going to live here for free.
So let's talk about trade school. And I promise you, you're going to see a spark of something, because whether it's beauty college or, like I said, plumbing school, it's really what my son loves, working with his hands. He wouldn't mind doing moving and construction. As long as they can make an honest income, as long as it's something where they can feel fulfilled when they end that day, why not encourage it? You know, if you're the doctor dad and you're the lawyer mom, your son may be the electrician in the family. Don't make him feel like he's less than, because y'all gonna need something done in that house. And he can do it.
And speaking to, I mean, just a trade that I know, there's the owner of a company that lives in McKinney. They have the biggest house in the city, right? And they own a plumbing company. And it's a well-known one here in the DFW area.
Roto-Rooter?
No. But they live there, and they're involved in the community, and you know, and they make more than probably most doctors and lawyers do.
And you probably wouldn't even know who they were until they let you know.
That's right. Oh, that's so right. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
So tell us a little bit about the screenwriting and all of that sort of stuff that you've done on that side.
Screenwriting. Okay, so I literally went to Katy College here in Dallas for acting.
Okay.
And of course, I told you before that, my acting debut was 14 years old at the South Dallas Cultural Center. I would say along those years, I've always been a writer, but I was never script writing. It wasn't until I got to Katy College and I really started learning the fundamentals of being an actress and getting off into those scripts that it was ding, 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 ding. This is something else that I have. This is fun. It gives you an escape. As a writer, as a film writer, screenwriter, whether it's theater or movie, I get to create a whole new world and bring in these people. And from beginning to finish, it's just a release. It's a complete release. Sometimes it's been therapy. I journal, you know, I do poetry, but script writing was totally different. It was more liberating. It required a lot more creativity. I think the first stage play I wrote was called The God in Me. And I had started that script with maybe 3 characters, and when I was done, it was like 7. So can you imagine 7 people in my head just... But that was my first stage production. We did it at the African American Museum at the Fair Park, Dallas. And we sold out 2 shows.
Wow.
That was 2009, 2008. I believe it was 2008, 2009. And from there, it just took off. It took off. At that point, I started to, because I not only wrote that, I was actually co-writing it with another friend of mine. Her name is Seneca Baker. We did that one together and directed it with my mentor, Mr. Willie Minor. And from there, it really grew. I became more acclimated in the community as an actress, because I definitely started working more with a lot more theaters. And in doing that, because I have such an opinion about everything, I tiptoed again into the writing scene. because it became not only me acting, but hey, Prudence, you know, I heard what you said about this. Take a look at this script.
Mm-hmm.
And then we began there. I wrote a production called Gather Around the Throne. Initially, it was, you know, poetry, live music, and dancing. And I had catered it around an adult audience. I wanted to just give a sexy, you know, atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
But when I started the nonprofit organization, I began to try to think of new ways to bring in youth and just make it bigger. Last year, when we did Gather Around the Throne, it was the first year that I brought in theater production
Okay.
in the element of the production, I should say. And that was also the first time I did it for a full weekend. I wrote the entire play, except all of the poems. Mr. Wayne Henry did help with the poems. And we pretty much sold out every day that weekend. That's how good it was. The reviews were, this needs to be a movie. You know, you need to put this on TV. I've never seen anything like this in theater. And we did it at the Urban Arts Center near Roosevelt High School in Oak Cliff. I'm true to my community.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a stage. We did create a raised platform similar, but after the production, everybody was like, you need to be on stage. This needs to be on stage, you know, da, da, da. And I was like, well, I didn't expect you guys to, you know, give me this kind of feedback. And it was just, it was mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing that I was seeing in my lifetime people appreciating my writing, my work. And that ability to escape into that fantasy world and bring it to life and people still be able to relate to it. Everyone can't accomplish that. I try my best as a writer, and it's no dig at anyone else who's a producer, director, or writer. I try my best not to give out cliche work. Anybody can go to a theater or look at the TV and see a couple going through relationship problems. He's cheating. Okay. I go through enough of that in person. Give me something else. So I'm very intentional. Even if it's something as simple as that, I have got to bring in some hella drama. I have got to make that real, real spicy. Because otherwise you're just looking at something. I may as well have just picked the old movie and redid it.
Right.
So those are my goals as a writer. That's what drives me as a writer, is being fresh. I have shared with some people, I don't watch television when I write. If I'm in script writing mode, I do not watch. I'm catching up on Insecure. Sorry, Issa, I love you. But I have not finished Insecure. I'm doing it now. A lot of shows that I would start when I wasn't writing, I'm finally able to finish. But what gives me joy is I can still enjoy that show and I don't see nothing that I wrote. I'm not regurgitating anything. I haven't been influenced by somebody else's dream, by their vision, you know. And we as writers and creatives need to be careful with that. It's one thing to be inspired. It's another thing to take someone's idea and run with it. I don't care what spice you add to it. It wasn't your idea, you know. Be careful with that.
So how do you create the character? How does character development happen? Is it people that you may work with, or that, and you take little snippets of their life and incorporate it into one person, or how does that development happen?
Character development for me, it's kind of complex to explain. It starts with the name. Starts with the name of the character. I typically will write out a scenario, and once I hone in on that scenario, I start getting names. And the name of the character kind of starts to give me who they're going to be. I don't know why, but a lot of times the name Nicole pops up when I'm writing. And I have tried to push Nicole out the way, but Nicole has a presence in my writing that I cannot escape. And I tend to build all these people around her. It just depends on what the idea is and what's gonna come. Where are we going? What are we doing? You know, are we in Dallas this time? Or are we, you know, gonna try to put ourselves in a different location? Very careful with that, because when I like referencing things, locations, so I have to make it true. Real picky about that. Real picky about that. So you won't see me filming in Houston trying to reference something in Dallas. I can't. I find that hard to do.
Right.
But my characters, once I get Nicole out the way, and sometimes I can give Nicole another name once I start writing, all of the other characters tend to fall in line. They come from this one main character and start to just grow. So that's what happens with me. That's what happens with me. And it's always been a female character that led my writing. I have yet to go into writing mode and there be a male character that just can take over. Not saying it's not gonna happen. Not saying that I stay away from that on purpose. It just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, my characters tend to stem from Nicole. Whoever Nicole
is.
She definitely sticks in my mind when I get to writing.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I mean, I have so many other questions, and I'm going to have you back because we are almost out of time.
Okay.
And there are some questions I do need to ask, and then I would love for you to say a poem.
I sure will.
So I want to end on that. But the questions are about my nonprofit. I am the Chief Happiness Officer of a nonprofit called Who Do You Know?
Okay.
And we focus on inspiring imagination and dreaming in people from any walk of life by making connections.
I love it.
And we make connections on 3 different pillars: a person you'd like to meet, a living person you'd like to meet, an experience you'd like to have, or a place you'd like to visit. Wow. I'm going to ask you, Prudence, who is a living person that you would like to meet and why?
A living person that I would like to meet would be Sean Carter. Jay-Z.
Okay.
I would like to meet Mr. Carter and sit at the table with him, not to discuss anything about his past, but what's driving his career now. Because he's, for the most part, you know him as a rap artist. A lot of people have no idea how far he's extended his business catalog, and it intrigues me. It intrigues me because of where he came from and how he had to get where he is. I know it wasn't easy. I know it wasn't always legit. So I want to pick his brain. When did you finally decide this wasn't me anymore? You know, when did being an entertainer no longer intrigue you? You know, is it really the money, gaining and attaining money, that is driving you? Or have you discovered something else about life? I've watched Mr. Carter, and most people would probably, anybody else would have told you would be Beyonce. I'm Beehive. I'm Beehive leader. But, and I love her. She can sit with us.
Right.
But I'm really intrigued by Jay-Z.
Okay.
I would love to pick his brain.
Sure. Fantastic. And the reason I'm asking you these questions is, 1, to learn about you.
Okay.
But 2, maybe some of our listeners or viewers will be able to make connections to make that happen. So
wow.
We'll see.
We will see.
So as far as an experience you want to have?
An experience I would like to have. Let's see. There's thousands. I would love the experience of being able to, because I did do an Ancestry.com. What is that called when we do? I sent in my DNA.
Right.
For Ancestry.com. And I got it back, was in tears. So I would love to experience Africa. I would love to experience the areas where my lineage is from: Cameroon, Senegal. I got some Wales in me.
Yeah, okay.
I might be related to Prince Harry. So I would love to experience traveling my DNA, my ancestry line. I would love to be able to put all of that together. A lot of missing pieces in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, you know, the more you know about your history, the more you know about you.
Sure.
So who knows?
Yeah.
I would love to experience that. Yeah.
Okay. And I think that may feed into a place you would like to visit.
That's definitely feeding
Right.
into that.
Yeah.
So I would love to visit Africa. I would
Okay.
love to visit Egypt. Egypt has been a pillar in my life forever.
Mm-hmm.
I remember as a little girl at my grandmother's house watching the 10 Commandments with Harrison Ford, I believe, was
Okay.
in that one. Correct me if I'm wrong. But as much as I was supposed to be focused on the God part of everything,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get past Egypt. I couldn't get past the history of Egypt. And I was always picking up a book. I was always studying. You know my friend Ray.
Mm-hmm.
When Ray and I met, one of the things that connected us was that he was very much in love with Egypt. And he had a book about hieroglyphs and things like that. So I'm always looking into that. When I look at movies like The Mummy, I'm like, oh my God, how much is this is real and then how much of it is fake? And I gotta touch it. I gotta touch it. I gotta see it. I gotta feel it. It's something there. It's something there that has my name on it. I don't know what it is, but it's something there. Yeah, I have got to go see Egypt.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see what we can do.
All right.
All right. So in the next few minutes,
Okay.
I'd love for you to say a poem. And yeah, we have up to 5 minutes. So I don't know how long you're.
Up to 5 minutes. I promise you it won't be 5
Okay.
minutes long. Let's see. I'll do a poem I wrote for my mom. Is that okay?
Okay, that's
All
great.
right. She doesn't smile much. I've never seen strobe lights in her eyes, but she keeps the beat of disco between her hips. She will not let a spine of deteriorated cartilage break her. She is a woman. She bends. She destined me not to be a reflection of her insecurities. I wasn't going to learn the words to love songs long gone, how he Donny Hathaway'd her love into a Billie Holiday coma. My papa was a Rolling Stone. Always stoned, always gone, last one to see me born, whispered heroin rumors that I was too light-skinned to be his baby. And she said that was just him being high. And I admired how she would smooth things over. You know, make it all right. But sometimes words need to hurt exactly the way they were intended. You can't always make it all right. You just got to know it's going to be all right. And we are all right. I did the tango in her shoes. Single mother stilettos are too tight. They bruise the heels of tolerance and callous the heart. My heart doesn't sing R&B for men. I red light special with heavy metal, so blame the piercing tune of my tongue on having to watch too much of my mother's depression. I've become the Prozac party favor to her peace of mind, when she feels out of her mind. She loves to see the bold in me. How I wear it's okay with a smile that's flawless, always ready for action. No one sees the tears. I hide inside myself in the darkness of abuse that she will never know about. How I took slap to mouth, head between wall and mattress, feet handcuffed, hands tied by rope. My virginity lies in my uncle's bottomless bottle of pedophile lost at the age of 7. The 2 prayers I had left drank the screams of duct tape after being gang raped at the age of 13. I am the silent rifle protecting my queen. Call me the sacrificial pawn. I will protect her by any means necessary. And he said if by any means necessary she found out, he would kill her. I will protect her. Even if it's from me, this temple will never be his toward dream assault. I am woman. I don't break, I bend. I vow to her everything. I am Frances Jean's daughter. Her knowledge put into action. God told her name me Prudence. My mama birthed me a southern girl full of summer breeze. I am the poetry to her melody. My mama didn't smile much. And I never saw strobe lights in her eyes. But she kept the beat of disco in her hips. She wouldn't let a spine of deteriorated cartilage break her. She's a woman. She'd bend.
Wow.
Oh
Thank you.
my God, no.
Brought me to tears. Wow. Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's the power of words, right? Thank you for sharing.
You are so welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. My pleasure. And I will have you back.
I hope so.
Yes. So with tears in my eyes, I'm going to say thank you for tuning in today, and tune in next week as we have an inspiring person with a fascinating story to share. And thank you so much for being here.
If you'd like to contact Matt or know a fascinating person with an inspiring story that would make a great guest, reach out to the show at themattHiltonshow@gmail.com.